The session is resumed. To allow our colleagues to come to the hall, the chair once more suspends the session for 1 minute. Kaya nga. JV. J. Abang muna. The session is resumed. Senator J.V. Ejercito is recognized.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. President. As Chairman of the Committee on Economic Affairs, I move to adopt the House version of the Economic and Financial Literacy Week Bill under Committee Number 335.
Under
Committee Report Number 335.
What does the Majority Leader say?
No objection, Mr. President.
All right. There's a motion that the Chamber adopts the House version of can you please state again on the record?
I move to adopt, Mr. President, the House version of Economic and Financial Literacy Week Bill under Committee Report Number 335.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
President, a minute suspension.
1 minute suspension.
Sige, 2 days. All right. Thank you. Salamat.
Alan. Ilan? Nasaan na siya? Sana si Senator Alan. Nasaan nandyan? The session is resumed. The majority leader is recognized.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill 5560, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of House Bill 5560 is in order.
With the consent of the body, may we request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal Record the whole text thereof.
The Secretary will do so.
House Bill number 5560, an act granting Philippine citizenship to Hans Peter Smith.
Mr. President, copies of this measure, as approved on second reading, have been distributed to the members of the Senate last May 30, 2016, thereby complying with the 3-day rule found under Section 26, Paragraph 2, Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution. We are thus ready to approve the measure on third reading. I ask for a roll call vote.
The Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter, Compaño Reyes, Cayetano Pia S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Unasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Rilon.
Indonesia.
There are 15 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 5560 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, for the record, Coach Hans Peter Smith, as he's fondly called, and many of the athletes he have mentored are here today in the session hall. May we also recognize their presence.
Beg the presence of our guests on record.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider on third reading House Bill 5570.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of House Bill 5570 is in order.
With the consent of the body, may I request the Secretary to read only the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the Senate Journal and Record the whole text thereof.
Secretary is directed to do so.
House Bill number 5570, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Ibaan Electric Corporation, formerly Ibaan Electric and Engineering Corporation, to construct, operate, and maintain an electric light, heat, and power system in the municipality of Ibaan, province of Batangas, under Republic Act number 7578.
Mr. President, copies of the measure as approved on second reading have been distributed to the members of the Senate last May 31, 2016, thereby complying with the 3-day rule found under Section 26, Paragraph 2, Article 6 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. We are ready to approve the measure in third reading. I move for a roll call vote.
The Secretary will conduct the roll call vote.
The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan, Peter Compañero S., Cayetano Pia S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero, Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Po, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Trilon. Yeah, 15.
How many? Including Serge? 15 affirmative votes, no negative votes, no abstention. House Bill 5570 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I ask for a minute suspension?
1 minute suspension. how's your Iloilo?
Siguro sir, kasunod na po yun. Si Noe naman sir is touching si Noe. Si Noe po is touching.
Anna? Can we? Huh? Number ng resolutions?
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, there being no other matter to discuss, we may now proceed with the final resolutions for the sine die adjournment.
The Majority Leader may proceed.
Sir President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1744.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is carried. Consideration of the proposed Senate resolution is in order. The Secretary will please read the title.
Resolution declaring as read and approved the journal of the 56th session of the Senate. Resolved by the Senate that the journal of the 56th session, May 23, May 30, May 31, and June 6, 2006, be declared as it is hereby declared read and approved.
What is the resolution number?
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1744.
Is there any objection? There being none, proposed Senate resolution number 1744 1744 is hereby adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1745.
Any objection? Hearing none. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1745 is in order. The Secretary will read the resolution.
Resolution authorizing the production and distribution of 150 printed and digital copies each of the Journal and the Record of the Senate for the third regular session of the 16th Congress of the Philippines. Resolved by the Senate to authorize, as it hereby authorizes, the production of 150 printed and digital copies each of the Journal and the Record of the Senate for the third regular session of the 16th Congress of the Philippines and its distribution under the direction of the Secretary of the Senate.
Majority Leader,
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1745.
any objection? Hearing none, the proposed Senate Resolution number 1745 is hereby adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed concurrent resolution number 11.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of proposed Senate concurrent resolution number 11 is in order. The Secretary will read the resolution.
Concurrent resolution providing for the adjournment of the third regular session of the 16th Congress of the Philippines not later than 12 o'clock midnight tonight, June 6, 2016. Resolved by the Senate, the House of Representatives concurring that the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives be authorized, as they are hereby authorized, to declare the third regular session of the 16th Congress of the Philippines adjourned sine die by adjourning the sessions of the respective houses not later than 12 o'clock midnight today, June 6, 2016. Resolved further that a committee of 3 members of the Senate appointed by the Senate President join a committee of the House of Representatives to inform the President of the Republic that the third regular session of the third Congress, of the 16th Congress, is about to close and that the 2 houses are ready to adjourn unless the President has a message or communication to transmit to them.
Majority Leader,
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate concurrent resolution number 11.
any objection? Hearing none, the Chair, the proposed Senate resolution, concurrent resolution number 11 is hereby adopted.
One minute suspension, Mr. President.
1 minute suspension.
Good point. Oh, sige lang, sige lang. Sige lang.
Session is resumed. The Majority Leader is once more recognized.
Mr. President, in conformity with the Senate concurrent resolution we have adopted, I move that a committee of the Senate as provided therein be composed of Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Nancy Binay, Senator Cynthia Villar, and Senator Grace Poe.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Senators Pia Cayetano, Nancy Binay, Cynthia Villar, and Senator Grace Poe shall compose the committee of the Senate to inform the President of the Philippines that the third regular session of the 16th Congress is ready to adjourn sine die.
Mr. President, as it is our tradition to recognize and also to honor, I believe that some of our colleagues are concluding their terms as we near the end of the 16th Congress. They are Senators Pia Cayetano, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, Senator Estrada, Senator Gingona, Senator Lapid, Senator Marcos, Senator Osmeña, Senator Revilla, and the Minority Leader, Senator Enrile.
Noted. Majority Leader.
Sir President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1746.
1746. Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1746 is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1746. Resolution expressing the gratitude and appreciation of the Senate to the Honorable Pia S. Cayetano for her invaluable contributions to the Senate and the nation during her terms as Senator.
Majority Leader.
Sir President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1746.
Any objection? Hearing none, proposed Senate Resolution 1746 is adopted.
Sir President, I move that we consider proposed Resolution 1747.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1747 is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1747. Resolution commending the Honorable Miriam Defensor Santiago for her hard work and dedicated service to the Senate and the nation during her terms as Senator.
Majority Leader.
Sir President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1747.
Any objection? Hearing none, proposed Senate Resolution 1747 is hereby adopted.
Sir President, I move we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1748.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 1748 is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1748, resolution expressing the gratitude and appreciation of the Senate to the Honorable Jinggoy Hertz Estrada for his invaluable contributions to the Senate and the nation during his terms as Senator.
Sir President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1748.
Any objection? Hearing none, adopted.
Sir President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1749.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 1749 is in order. The Secretary will read the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1749, resolution expressing the gratitude and appreciation of the Senate to the Honorable Chofisto T.G. Gingona III for his invaluable contributions to the Senate and the nation during his term as Senator.
Majority Leader.
Sir President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1749.
1749. There's a motion that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 1749. Any objection? Hearing none, adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1750.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1750 is hereby is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1750, resolution commending the Honorable Manuel Lito M. Lapid for his hard work and dedicated service to the Senate and the nation during his terms as Senator.
Majority
Mr.
Leader.
President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1750.
Any objection? Hearing none, proposed Senate Resolution number 1750 is adopted.
Sir President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1751.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1751 is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1751, resolution expressing the gratitude and appreciation of the Senate to the Honorable Ferdinand Armacos Jr. for his invaluable contributions to the Senate and the nation during his term as Senator.
Sir President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1751.
Any objection? Hearing none, proposed Senate Resolution 1751 is hereby adopted.
Sir President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1752.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the measure is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1752, resolution commending the Honorable Sergio R. Osmeña III for his dedicated and outstanding performance as Senator during his term as Senator.
Is there any Majority Leader?
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1752.
Any objection? Hearing none. Proposed Senate Resolution number 1752 is adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1753.
Any objection? Hearing none. Consideration of the measure is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the measure.
Yes, Resolution number 1753, resolution expressing the gratitude and appreciation of the Senate to the Honorable Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. for his invaluable contributions to the Senate and the nation during his terms as Senator.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1753.
Any objection? Hearing none. Proposed Senate Resolution number 1753 is hereby adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Resolution 1754.
Any objection? Consideration of the proposed Senate Resolution number 1754 is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
Yes, Resolution number 1754, resolution commending the Minority Leader, the Honorable Juan Ponce Enrile, for his invaluable and dedicated service to the Senate and the Filipino people during his terms as Senator.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1754.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. Proposed Senate Resolution number 1754 is hereby adopted.
Mr. President, may I ask for a minute suspension?
Suspended for 1 minute. Sit down.
Walang magpapalitik-titik. No one is Senator Enrile. Is giving one. I don't know my dad.
Mr. President.
Majority, the session is resumed.
Mr. President, may this representation make a special request that the Honorable Minority Leader Juan Ponce Enrile make a response to the Resolution 1754.
The Minority Leader is may respond if he wishes to, and therefore is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not going to waste your time. I'll just say a few words. Mr. President and my esteemed colleagues in this chamber, this will be my last day to visit this chamber because when we adjourned at midnight today, I shall have closed my public service to the nation. A service that spanned more than half a century when I began to work for the government in January of 1966. I served more than 20 years in the executive department in various capacities. I've handled the financial system of the country. I have handled the justice system of the country when, at that time, all courts below the Supreme Court were under the Secretary of Justice, where I have been assigned. And then I handled the security of the country when I stayed as a management of our security for 17 years of my career in the executive department. And all those years, Mr. President, I tried my best to serve the people because I felt that my call to the service was something that I never intended in the first place, but I was impressed into the service of the people. And as a consequence, I thought that it was a mission for me to do. Then in this Congress, Mr. President, all of that 50 years of service to the nation, I spent 27 years. 4 terms in the Senate where we discussed very delicate and important measures impacting on the welfare of this nation, especially its security. 3 years in the House of Representatives from 1992 to 1995 when I got back to the Senate. And so, looking back, Mr. President, I would like to thank all of my colleagues and all those people that work with me and beg their forbearance and understanding if in the heat of debate I somehow hurt them unwittingly or displeased them. Likewise, I would like to thank all of those who supported me and those who helped me in this chamber, the Senate President, the Majority Floor Leader, the Senate Pro Tempore, and all the staff and employees. And I would like to thank most of all the Filipino people for having given me the opportunity, the privilege, and the honor to serve them. Like what MacArthur said, old soldiers never die. They just fade away. I would say, today, my last appearance in this chamber, old politicians never die. They will just fade away. My head was bloody, but never bowed. Thank you, Mr. President.
We declare 1 minute recess to greet this Minority Leader.
Once in a while.
The session is resumed.
Mr. President, with the indulgence of our colleagues, may we ask that Senator Pia Cayetano be recognized also to make a similar response.
Senator Pia Cayetano is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would just like to take a few minutes to thank people who have made my 12 years in the Senate productive, as I would like to think it has been. I'd like to start with the Senate officers and employees. Many of them I do not have a chance to mingle with on a day-to-day basis, but please know that all the work that you have put in is very much appreciated. And I recognize that the work that my office and I do would not be possible without all of you. Of course, I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank my staff, many of whom are here, and probably the others are in room 505 watching my last address on the floor. Again, thank you so much for the patience you've had to produce in dealing with me in the days, months, and years that we have worked together. Many of my staff have started with me in 2004, and they're still alive. Many of them still look well, so it must not have been as difficult as I thought it would be. Some of them actually started in 1998 with my father, and they're still all alive and looking good. So I'd like to really thank each one of them personally, even during the Senate breaks. They're all here working, keeping my office alive, working with the Senate staff as well, and always making sure that the people know that we are available to them. With me becoming a senator at the time of social media, they are always working up to midnight sometimes, responding to queries, also researching online what's going on. So thank you again to my staff who have endured many, many long hours from sunset to sunrise, sometimes with very little sleep in between. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And finally, I will be in the lower house, so I'm sorry, my dear colleagues. Some of you will still see me and hear of me. And I'd just like to, the bigger house, I will be there. Mas malayo lang ng konti, but rest assured that I will still bug you with the bills that are close to my heart, and I will put now on official record that I have asked my colleagues, specifically Senator Sani Angara, Senator Bam Aquino, my brother, of course, the Majority Floor Leader Alan Cayetano, and the Senate President Pro Tem, my little clique of boys in this area. I'm not singling them out because they're any more special than any of the men and women on the other side, except that they're just my clique over here, who I get a chance to talk to in between session days. And not mentioning my favorite, sorry, Mr. Recto. But because of proximity, they are about 2 to 3 feet closer to me than the rest of you. I have burdened them with watching over my pet bills, many of which we actually passed, but there are still a lot that I'd like to see become laws. On that note, to my women colleagues, carry on. May I ask you to keep working on the measures that even the women and the men supporting women have worked on in the early days, even before I became a senator. And to the Senate President, thank you very much for the guidance and for the mentoring. I ended up becoming active in international politics because of the Senate President. I never thought that I would find an avenue to learn more about women in politics in particular, but it was because of the Senate President's introducing me to the Interparliamentary Union that I ended up having a very lengthy political career, becoming president of the Women's Coordinating Committee of the Interparliamentary Union. So for that and many more things, thank you very much, Mr. Senate President. And again, to all my colleagues, thank you for all the years.
Thank you, Senator Pia. The Assistant Majority Leader. Okay, we suspend for 1 minute. The session is resumed. The Assistant Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1755.
Any objection? Hearing none. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 1755 is in order. The Secretary will read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1755, resolution commending the chairman of the Committee on Rules and Majority Leader, the Honorable Alan Peter Compañero S. Cayetano, for his dedicated and outstanding leadership in steering the deliberations of the Senate during the 16th Congress.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 1755.
Any objection? Hearing none. Proposed Senate Resolution number 1755 is hereby adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend session for 1 minute.
Will the majority, before we do that, I recognize the majority leader if he wishes to make a response to
Thank
the
you,
resolution.
Mr. President. I'll not make a response because fortunately for others and unfortunately for the others, I will still be here. I hope to still be here when we resume in July, Mr. President. But I'd just like to thank the Senate President and the Minority Leader and all of our colleagues also for making the 16th Congress very, very productive. Thank you, sirs. Mr. President,
Yes, the majority leader.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1756.
The consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1756 is in order. The Secretary will now read the title of the resolution.
Yes, Resolution number 1756, resolution commending the Senate President pro tempore, the Honorable Ralph G. Recto, for his exemplary performance during the 16th Congress.
The majority leader.
Mr. President, I move that we approve proposed Senate Resolution 1756. 1756.
1756. Any objection? There's a motion that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 1756. Any objection? Hearing none, adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution 1757.
Proposed Senate Resolution, any objection? Hearing none, in order.
Mr. President, may the Secretary read the
The
resolution?
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
Proposed Senate Resolution number 1757, resolution expressing the sincere appreciation of the Senate to its President, the Honorable Franklin M. Drilon, for his exemplary leadership during the 16th Congress.
The Chair declares a 1-minute suspension. I cannot approve the resolution commending me.
Temporarily.
I request si Ralph to preside. Itong mga tao ito. That's it. Dito. Teko ko ni wala yung salamin ko. Yes, sir. I will be delivering.
Please speak there.
The session is resumed.
Mr. President, I move that we unanimously adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 1757.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Consideration of proposed Senate resolution is now in order. The Secretary will please read the title of the resolution.
PS Resolution number 1757, resolution expressing the sincere appreciation of the Senate to its President, the Honorable Franklin M. Drilon, for his exemplary leadership during the 16th Congress.
Mr. President, I move that we unanimously adopt proposed Senate Resolution 1757.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. Proposed Senate resolution 1757 is hereby unanimously adopted.
Mr. President, the Chamber and the Filipino people are now ready to hear the closing statement from our Senate President, Franklin Drilon.
The Senate President is recognized. Thank you, Senator Recto. My esteemed colleagues, today we adjourn sine die, our third regular session, and formally close the 16th Congress. And at noon of June 30, the 16th Congress of the Republic will end and become part of history. I have stood here 8 times before to deliver, as President of the Senate, the closing messages of the previous sessions and past Congresses. I am thankful to be here again for the 9th time for the concluding message of the Senate of the 16th Congress. How would the nation and our people remember the 16th Congress? How would history judge us? Ladies and gentlemen of this august chamber, I have been in the Senate for 18 years. I have been honored with the rare gift of being elected Senate President 4 times. I have been given the responsibility of steering our beloved chamber through the ebb and flow of for a combined period of 8 years and 7 months. And having attended and presided in all of the 284 sessions of the 16th Congress, I believe that I would know whether we have done just enough or more than enough. I can say with conviction that this Senate did more than enough. To my colleagues, let me therefore put on record my profound gratitude for the perseverance, hard work, and unselfish support you have shown in the 16th Congress. With strong political will, this Senate cleared the hurdle of passing difficult but landmark measures that previously languished in the legislative mill for decades. Thus, we need not be afraid to face the verdict of our people and history. We, as members of this august chamber, have fared well. 3 years ago, shortly after we convened the 16th Congress, the Senate went through what may have been its darkest period in its 100 years of existence. The naysayers have written us off and doubted if we could ever regain the trust of our people. It was difficult and challenging, but we listened, we persevered, we worked hard, we made difficult decisions, we implemented reforms, we stood as one. Not long after, a clear majority of our people, as reflected in the opinion polls, expressed satisfaction with the Senate's performance. We had triumphed collectively over adversity. But there is no better gauge in measuring public trust and satisfaction than that of facing the judgment of our people in an election. I sought a new mandate knowing fully well that my re-election would rise or fall on the strength or weakness of my leadership of the 16th Congress in the Senate. I would not play coy and hide my elation in getting the nod of over 18.6 million Filipinos and in obtaining the highest vote among the senatorial candidates in the last May elections. I take pride and joy in that. If I did well in the last election, it was because of your support and our accomplishments in the Senate. We have done the right things. We have done things right. My dear colleagues, hard work is the bridge between the goals we set when the 16th Congress opened and the accomplishments we are proudly claiming now. Hard work enabled us to achieve so much in a span of 3 years. In the 16th Congress, leaders of the Senate and the House held regular monthly meetings to define and advance our legislative agenda. Our collective efforts yielded a harvest of laws that will strengthen our economy, promote social justice, and transform our country into one of the strongest and fastest growing economies in the world. But this is not the end of the road. What we have achieved is just a starting point for the next leap forward. Through the laws that we have enacted, we are giving the 17th Congress and the next administration our present for the future. Allow me then to report, my dear colleagues, what we have accomplished together in the 16th Congress. On the economy, the Senate of the 16th Congress was focused on laying the foundation for a healthy economy. We buckled down to work and enacted measures on good governance and institutional reforms, as these are key to a better business climate. Now, gains are starting to unfold. The GOCC Governance Act, which we passed on our own initiative, made state-owned enterprises instruments of national progress instead of milking cows. Since 2013, or for the last 3 years, the GOCC remitted a total of over 100 billion pesos in dividends to the national treasury. The optimism and confidence of the international community are reflected in the significant improvements in our global competitive standing, ease of doing business ranking, and sovereign rating. After being stalled in Congress for more than 20 years, we finally passed the Philippine Competition Act. It outlaws and penalizes anti-competitive agreements, abuse of dominant position, and anti-competitive mergers and acquisitions. We amended the 50-year-old cabotage law to foster greater competition and lower the cost of domestic shipping. We allowed the full entry of foreign banks in the country. The liberalization of the banking sector will not only result in greater capital influx and foreign direct investments, but will also help our country ease into the integrated financial and capital markets in the region in time for the ASEAN Banking Integration Framework in 2020. We amended the foreign investment negative list, which would liberalize the ownership of lending, adjustment, and financing companies, so that these industries can contribute to the socio-economic development of our country. To promote fiscal accountability and transparency in granting tax incentives, the Tax Incentive Monitoring and Transparency Act is now a law. We passed the Go Negosyo law to bring government services closer to small businesses and help improve the ease of doing business in our country. Accompanying these economic measures are landmark laws to introduce structural changes in government agencies that have direct impact on our economy. Rampant smuggling is costing the government a revenue loss estimated at 2% of our GDP. To address this, we passed the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act to institute structural reforms in the Bureau of Customs. The CMTA would address rampant smuggling by instituting electronic processing of imports and exports, simplifying the customs procedure for ordinary citizens, and increasing the operating flexibility of the Bureau of Customs. Responding to the clamor for a separate government agency that will address the challenges of the information and communication technology, we established by law the Department of Information and Communication Technology. Its creation will greatly enhance information communication technology services and harness the sector's potential to be one of the strongest drivers of economic growth. We introduced amendments to the Charter of the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation to provide a more effective bank resolution and liquidation process, thereby protecting approximately 15 million deposit account holders. We enacted on time all the national budgets submitted to Congress by the Aquino administration for the past 6 years. On justice, we know all too well that without a strong public accountability system, the prospects for long-term development is bleak. We therefore instituted structural changes in certain agencies considered pillars of the justice sector, namely the Sandigan Bayan and the National Bureau of Investigation. To add teeth to the government's campaign against corruption, we lengthened the prescriptive period for violations of Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practice Act from 15 years to 20 years. We also passed the Freedom of Information Bill. On agriculture, understanding that increased agricultural output and productivity contribute to the overall development of the country, the 16th Congress passed a number of laws that push for agricultural sector's growth and farmers' welfare. Not too many of our people are aware of this, but if we did not pass the amendments to the Fisheries Code to make it compliant with international standards, our marine and fisheries products would have been banned from entering the European Union. With the extension of the Agricultural Competitiveness and Enhancement Fund, the enactment of the Sugarcane Industry Development Act, our farmers and fisherfolk can now avail of credit facilities and other technical support that will improve their competitiveness and increase their productivity. Recognizing that large-scale smuggling impedes economic growth, we made by law large-scale agricultural smuggling punishable as economic sabotage. On workers' welfare, employment is a pillar of development. We passed measures that provided job security, social benefits, fair pay, and higher income. The 16th Congress prevented the blacklisting of more than 80,000 Filipino seafarers in EU-flagged vessels by enacting the Maritime Industry Authority or Marina Law to make our regulatory framework compliant with international standards. The new charter of the Overseas Workers and Welfare Administration, or OWA, ensures that our OWA contributions will now be spent exclusively for the programs and activities that directly aid our overseas Filipino workers. To provide better employment access and information, we mandated the establishment of the Public Employment Service Offices, or PESO, in all provinces, cities, and municipalities. The 16th Congress increased the tax exemption cap for 30th month pay and other benefits from 30,000 to 82,000. Its passage enabled all public and private sector employees to enjoy a bigger take-home pay. My dear colleagues, the Senate has demonstrated strong political will to invest in the health of our people. The Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Law was one of the most difficult reform measures enacted by Congress. But we have shown that it could be done. The passage of the Seed Tax Reform Law, on the other hand, resulted in an incremental excise tax of approximately 150 billion for the past 3 years. As part of this incremental revenue, a part of this incremental revenue supported our Universal Health Program, enrolled 15 million indigent families in PhilHealth, and cover our senior citizens, which we required under the amendments to the expanded Senior Citizens Act. With the view of decreasing the number of Filipinos dying due to major tobacco-related diseases, we passed the Graphic Health Warning Act to compel cigarette companies to graphically demonstrate in cigarette packs the deadly effects of smoking. On education, acknowledging its pivotal role in economic development and its importance in breaking the cycle of poverty, we enacted a number of laws that will make education more accessible to our children. Complementing the K-12 program, which is now the cornerstone of our learning system, we passed the Scholar ng Bayan Act, the Unified Student Financial Assistance System Act, the Ladderized Education Act, the Open Learning and Distance Education, and the Open High School Systems Act. My dear colleagues, the 16th Congress may not be perfect. The Senate would not claim a picture-perfect performance, as no one in the past nor in the future can possibly do so. Yes, there remain areas that require fixing. Yes, we failed to tick all the items in our government's bucket list, but we managed to cross out those that truly count. Today, the Philippines is being hailed as one of the fastest growing economies in the world. From being dubbed as the sick man of Asia barely 6 years ago, the Philippines is now Asia's rising star. This is a testament to our efforts to bring our beloved country to our development goals on the wings of good governance. However, the challenge that we must face head-on is to protect our gains and ensure the continuity of reforms so that their fruits will be enjoyed not only by this generation, but also by the generations yet unborn. Now more than ever, we need to safeguard the reforms we have painstakingly put in place so that neither force nor personalities can reverse them. To my esteemed colleagues in this august chamber, I am humbled, honored, and deeply grateful for your trust and support. Thank you. Let me also express my profound appreciation and gratitude to the Senate Secretariat and our respective staff for their unwavering support and competent service. I must say that the time I spent serving and leading this august chamber is indeed time well bestowed. It has been a great honor and pleasure to serve the Senate. There is a time for everything, Mr. President, a time to sow and a time to reap. There is a time to say goodbye to people we have broken bread with, and there is a time to welcome new faces. Maraming salamat po. God bless the Senate. God bless the Filipino people. God bless our country. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. The session is suspended for a few minutes to allow our colleagues to congratulate the Senate President.
The anal service. Huwag lang inal service. Anal stuff.
History. The session is resumed. The majority leader is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the third regular session of the 16th Congress of the Philippines on the part of the Senate be adjourned sine die.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is carried. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I hereby declare the third regular session of the 16th Congress of the Philippines on the part of the Senate adjourned sine die. I will meet. Yes, sir.